Hi everyone and welcome. I'm here this morning with the lovely Ben Smith, who's going to be talking to us about meditation. And Ben is a meditation expert and has all or most of the answers to questions about meditation. And I would love to just sit and unpack that and share a couple of tips. So yes, welcome Ben, and lovely to have you here.
Thanks so much for having me. We'll see what we can do. See what questions we can get answered. I'm not sure I'll get them all done. We'll try.
We've got the few big ones, but yeah, it's great to have you here because you're a wealth of knowledge when it comes to meditation, and I know it's something that everyone knows that we should do, and
Mm,
everybody tries it. And I know for me, it's something that can feel like really hard work,
hmm
especially in our lives and society that we're in right now. We're like bombarded constantly with things that want our attention, things that want to stress us out,
hmm
things that pull at our emotions, and it can be really hard just to sit and be. And it's strange, isn't it, that you actually have to create time to just be.
Yeah,
Like something you have to fit in in between doing everything else, just to be, isn't it?
it's quite funny, isn't it? We've
Mm.
added so much, we've collected so much, and given ourselves so much to do. That,
Yeah.
like you say, it's you actually have to consciously unpeel all those things
Mm.
for a little bit of time, which is a bit uncomfortable to start with.
It is. It is. So we'll start just at the beginning ish with you, just to ask really how you first discovered meditation.
Mm. I was very lucky, I would say. I don't actually believe in luck, but I was very fortunate that my dad, probably when I was around the time I was born, was having what many people might call a bit of a spiritual awakening. He was coming to this type of work, and he discovered a local teacher, and so he started getting into meditation pretty much around the time I was born. So by the time I was 6, 7 years old, he was well established in his practice, and he was starting to teach people just locally, nothing too big. And so in our house, we had like a little shrine room and a little meditation room, which my dad would disappear off to most nights. And eventually I got into it. He's just taught me how to do it, showed me what to do, and I wouldn't do it like a daily practice, but I was interested, and I was doing it here and there with him, and I
Mm.
understood it. And so over the years, I just gained more of an interest, and don't know where it. I guess that was the initial point, but I was always just fascinated with meditation and like what our potential is and things like that. And our teacher, my dad's teacher, also became my teacher eventually, and he used to talk a lot about the fact that we don't have limits, we create our limits, and meditation is a tool that can help us start to understand ourselves better and overcome many of the limits that we have. So it started at quite a young age. And then, like most people, by the time I hit about 16, I went completely off the track, off the path, and got swept away with drinking and going out and smoking and doing everything that everyone else probably does as well. And it wasn't until I was about 21, 22 that I started to realize that the tool that I understood and had used when I was younger was something that I needed to bring back into my life because
Mm.
that created something very unique in as much as like some peace, mental stability. And I mean it goes so much further and deeper than just peace. That's just really the starting point. But it was something that I think and is still something that many people don't have, which is actually quite sad, really, that a lot of people don't have peace of mind. Meditation is a genuine tool to help you get peace of mind, to come to peace of mind. It's not the be all and end all, but it's definitely a good way that you can. And so from that point on, I pretty much dedicated myself to meditation. And it is a discipline. We might
Mm.
end up getting to this, but it is quite a discipline, something that you do have to commit yourself to and really work at and make time for, and you're going to have lots of periods where you don't want to do it, lots of periods where you think, well, nothing's really happening here. I'm just sitting here and nothing's changing. You have to work through endless, it feels like sometimes, challenges.
Yeah.
But as you go further and further, you realize how much you're actually changing and how much you're
Yeah.
growing. And it led on from there, really.
So when did you realize it was your purpose to teach?
I randomly asked my dad if he would, because my dad was trained as a teacher. And I just out of nowhere one day, I was probably 23 or something. And I said to him, I want to train to be a teacher as well. And at that time, I didn't have any reason to teach. It wasn't like something that was a vision of mine that I wanted to teach loads of people. That started to come a little bit later, maybe when I was about 25, 26. I started to feel that I wanted to do this for I don't really, I'm going to call it a job, but it doesn't feel
Yeah.
like a job. I'm going to do it for my job. So it probably took a few years of just like getting to the place where I felt like I was ready to teach more people. That came slowly but surely. But I definitely felt that it was something that more and more people needed. And I had quite unique ways of teaching it and unique tools that were passed on by my teacher, because a lot of people go through the avenue of like one particular lineage or they learn from one particular place. Whereas my teacher had quite a broad range of experience and knowledge. So the tools and techniques that he was teaching me were sort of from all over the place. And it was
Mm.
quite unique that I could then teach a lot of people who had different needs. So that was unique, I suppose. But it did come eventually where I just felt this real deep desire to need to share it more and more.
Yeah.
And I thought I've got to get this out.
Because that's really young, like in your early 20s to decide to
Mm,
do something like that as well, because it's not obviously the societal norm. It's quite rare, isn't it, that people would want to go into that sort of line. I know we've got it work, but
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
It's
that's
funny, isn't it?
really fascinating that you knew from, from that age as well. So yeah, amazing. So have there been any sort of like times when you've thought about you wanting to do something else or thinking that it's not for you, or has it always just been this is what you're going to do?
I think from the moment I made the decision, whatever time that came about, in my mid 20s, let's say, pretty much from that point, I was quite single minded in this is what I'm going to do.
Mm.
And I didn't actually know when or how it would unfold. Obviously, I didn't know if it would work, but I was like, I'm going to give this. I'm just going to keep working at this until it does work.
Mm.
And when I say it does work, I really mean actually I'm able to reach people
Yeah,
and appeal to people, hopefully. So it did take years really to
yeah,
actually years of working at it to finally get to the place where it was starting to reach more people
yeah,
and my videos and things were reaching more people. But I was very, very determined, I would say, to just continue until it did work.
yeah.
I never really felt like giving up.
That's interesting as well because then it's your calling, isn't it? It's like you're being called, I think, by a higher purpose, or following a purpose, because all of that work has created those ripple effects and helped to change other people and bring calm and peace
Mm.
to other people. So it's like healing on a big scale, isn't it?
It's funny. You're so right. I think when you find the thing for you, whatever that thing is, if it's like being a waitress, whether it's a nurse, whether it's
Yeah.
teaching Reiki, whether it's meditation, when you find the thing that works for you, you will go through quite a lot of hardship to make it work because you're just
Hmm.
so driven. You just know instinctively that this is
Yeah.
the thing you need to be doing.
Yeah. And I like to ask about that just because I know that a lot of the people that I work with or people in my community as well are people that are in, like want to work with purpose
Mm,
more, or like want to create impact in a positive way or work with purpose. So lots of healers or coaches or therapists. And it can be really hard because
hmm
when you're deemed as sort of working in a spiritual industry, um, it's it's hard to make a living and to keep
Mm,
going, but you have this big like calling to do it as well. So it's inspiring to see what happens when you stay on the track and just
mm.
just keep listening to the calling as well.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure. You grow in your own time as well.
yeah.
Because when I reflect back, at the start when I started teaching, I immediately was like, I want to be teaching thousands of people. And it did take years before I built my school up to the point where I was teaching more and more people. But now I reflect, I'm like, I probably wasn't ready then to teach
Mm,
how I'm teaching now. I just in so many different ways I wasn't ready, even though the desire was there,
yeah.
the need was there. I felt the need was there. I definitely wasn't ready, and I think that you can, wherever you are now, for any of your members that may listen, just know that wherever you are now is the right position for you, and
Mm,
things will unfold at the pace that's right for you. It does feel
yeah.
like nothing's happening sometimes, but if you just can continue chipping away, and it does
Yeah.
take a lot of work. It wasn't something that I just sort of sat back and posted a couple of videos and twiddled my thumbs. I was like working weekends, working. I was a full-time heating engineer with my own business, and then I was making videos at night, making videos at the weekend, spending all hours editing them, messing
Yeah.
about all the time. It felt like I didn't have a minute to myself for years before it actually started to, unravel.
Yeah. That's amazing. I love it. Love hearing how people create and work with their purpose.
Mm.
So just going to meditation, um, and thank you for sharing your story as well. Uh, in your words, how would you define meditation? What would you say it is?
It's a good one. It depends on a lot of meditation. The definition of meditation depends on the outcome that someone's after. So some people's definition will be different to mine because some people might meditate because they want to heal. Some people might want to meditate because they want to feel less stress. Some people may have a, a goal of becoming enlightened or something. So the definition might change from person to person. But an
Mm,
umbrella way of looking at it is that meditation is a deep concentration of your mind in a simplistic way. So it's an advanced state of concentration. And one way you could think about meditation is that if you imagine like everyday life, our awareness is quite broad. We're working through our senses, so we're aware of lots of things around us. When you start to meditate, you really create yourself a smaller circle. So you bring
mm,
in your awareness, your concentration down to a smaller area rather than it just being scattered. You're bringing it in. So even reading a book that perhaps is a bit more spiritually aligned or contemplating deeper things, that's a form of meditation because you bring in your awareness now to a smaller area, and it's an inner area. It's something that is related to yourself. You're learning more about yourself.
mm,
If you take that then one step further and place your mind on an object, which is what a lot of like yogic meditation is, you might look at a candle or something. That's when you've then drew yourself a much smaller circle. So
mm,
you're intensifying your concentration onto a point, and that's how to really define meditation. Is that you're starting to draw your awareness into a smaller and smaller area
mm.
and intensify that concentration. And a point happens when your concentration moves from just being concentration into a state of meditation.
Yeah.
That's a shift.
Yeah. So a lot of people think that, and I did as well, like meditation equals having no thoughts, having an empty mind, and
Hmm.
just having nothing. Is that possible?
It's possible because there's nothing's impossible. So it is
Yeah.
possible, but it's not common. It's not something that you're going to experience every time. It's not something that you're going to experience immediately. It's a very, very advanced state of meditation that people dedicate their entire lives to achieving that type of state. So I would never like to say it's impossible, and I do always think it's good to have high, lofty goals to aspire for. But most people will begin, in fact, everyone will begin, and their mind will be cluttered with lots of thoughts and lots of activity. And many people just immediately give up because they think they're doing something wrong, or they think that I can't possibly meditate because I've got all of this stuff going on. That's perfectly normal. It's perfectly part of the process. And if you meditate for 10 years, 15 years, you'll still have those thoughts, but to a lesser degree. You'll still have activity in the mind, but to a lesser degree. Well, it does all slow down and things do get down to a manageable rate, but we're using our mind every day. So there's things going on, there's things we're thinking about, contemplating, work to be done. You're using that mind. And if you imagine a snow globe, you're shaking that snow globe up throughout the day. When you place the snow globe down, it takes time for everything to settle. So meditation's like that. Meditation's that settling time. But for most of us, we're using our mind all day long. It's not just going to still immediately, but you can reach states that are very, very still. I'm not going to say thoughtless. You can reach states that are thoughtless, but that's like samadhi. That's like people dedicate their entire lives to that. But you'll get to states where your mind is incredibly quiet, and
Mm.
they're quite profound.
I we've set a challenge in my community for October called the silent treatment. So I'm asking
Hmm.
everyone to do 10 minutes, just set their timer and just sit in silence for 10 minutes.
That's great.
Um, just notice what the dominant thought stream is.
Hmm.
Um, so I used to have a much better meditation practice, and over the last couple of years, I haven't um, done as much or practiced what I've preached. I found it really uncomfortable.
Hmm.
So we're doing it all together. So just 10 minutes, then we're going to try and expand that a little bit, but just like the same time every day, just sitting for 10 minutes, just seeing what comes in
Yeah.
and observing like the thoughts like leaves on a stream, I've said, sort of like as if they're just going past, we're not holding on to them, we're just seeing. And this
Mm.
is really just to see what is bubbling around in the surface of our brain and just
Hmm.
do an observant really. Um, so yeah, we're going through that at the moment, but literally 10 minutes, but
Sounds
it's
great.
interesting how long that 10 minutes feels. It feels like half an hour, but when I did it yesterday, it went quite quickly. So it's
Mm.
interesting the different states that we're in. And obviously I
Yeah.
work quite a lot with intuition and
Hmm.
with developing our inner knowing and our intuition. I think meditation is like a massive part of that because
Hmm.
you can hear your intuition, you can hear things, you can hear yourself, like your true
Hmm.
self, a lot more than all of the chatter.
Yeah.
I once went to a Vipassana. Um,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I signed up for 10 days, which was extremely ambitious of me because I was like, right, um, I was working in my corporate career then, and a friend of mine had said that she knew someone that went off to do this 10-day Vipassana
Hmm.
at the meditation center, and I was like, next year I'm going to do that. I was just craving to go and sit in silence and do
Hmm.
it. I left after 4 days.
4 days is quite good going.
4 days. Um, and that was a highly uncomfortable experience.
Hmm.
And yeah, I'd love to get your take on that because I know I've watched a couple of your YouTubes where you've talked about this Vipassana as well before and
Hmm.
how it works. But my experience was, um, it was. I've never heard such loud silence ever, and I've never been so uncomfortable in my own body. Like when we sat
Yeah.
down to to meditate, I don't know, it's like 6 times a day or something. First one's at 4:30.
Yeah.
Is that right? I can't remember.
Yeah, it is. I think
Something like
it's
that, yeah.
4 or 4:30.
And it's like half an hour blocks.
Mm-hmm.
Everything hurt, pins and needles. Like my body was like, no, no, like literally just sitting. And
Yeah.
yeah, I spent a whole day thinking of an excuse that I could use to leave.
Mm-hmm. It's like the acid bath test, isn't it? It's like you've gone from 10 minutes a day to 10 hours a day. Because they do, I think the days work out roughly about 10 hours of meditation on and off, like an hour here, hour there. It's
Mm,
like it all clocks up to about 10 hours a day. So it's a ridiculous amount of time to meditate, and
yeah. I would do
understandable.
it again. I would go and do it again.
Hmm.
Really. And I was sorry that I hadn't completed it, but I just, yeah, I just found it so intense, so intense. And
It's
it
very
sounds like
intense.
it's going to be so blissful and beautiful. And I've got 3 children at home, so I was like leaving the husband and the children,
Yeah,
wandering off to go and like be completely at one with myself. And I was going to come back this brand new person. I was going to clear all of the stuff. And yeah, that it was
bit of a battle.
hardcore. Yeah, it's like an SAS.
Meditation training.
It was. And I'm such a chatterbox as well. I love to talk. And sometimes I realised how uncomfortable I find silence. That was a big
Mm,
realization. I was like, why do I find it so uncomfortable? I have got like I've got quite a busy brain,
hmm.
and I was sharing a room. So you have to share a room. I
Hmm.
think it was like 2 other women that I shared a room with, and I just found it unbearable not being able to talk to them. We just
Strange, isn't it?
just sitting in silence. So yeah, the whole thing. So yeah, if anyone doesn't know, it's a 10-day retreat, and you go, you have dinner, and you can sort of talk, and then the gong goes at 8 p.m. and that's it for 10 days. There's no more talking, and the only time you talk is to the master, I can't remember his official title. Um, so he can ask you questions.
Hmm.
Um, and that's the only time you can talk. And then you've got like these half an hour blocks that start at ridiculous time in the morning and all through the day. And you just got to be with yourself. Who'd have thought
Yeah.
it would be that tough?
Well, as you say, like you sit down for 10 minutes and that feels long, doesn't it? Sometimes when you're starting out, that might feel like a real challenge. So when you're suggesting like hours and hours of sitting down, it suddenly gets like taught some sort of torture. I think Vipassana is especially challenging, and like I was saying earlier, with a lot of people naturally will go through like one particular avenue of learning meditation. They might go Vipassana, which is like a Buddhist approach. They might go through yoga and take a more yogic approach. There's lots of different lineages all within those branches as well. And Vipassana is particularly hard because they take a focus of basically there's no leeway with their practice.
It's just the breath. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
it's following the
sitting.
breath, which is
Yeah.
great. And but the positioning of the body, they give you like no leeway really. If you can't sit cross-legged, it's like tough,
Yeah.
pretty much, unless you've actually got a disability or something, and then they might let you sit on a chair or use another way. But it's very much like you've got to sit down cross-legged, and if that's hard for you, then that's part of the practice. You've got to develop your mind so that your mind doesn't attach a liking or a disliking to that
Mm.
discomfort that you feel in the body. It's a
Yeah.
big lesson. It's lots of positives from it, but it's a little bit just brutal for most people.
Brutal is the word I was going to use. Yeah. But it's a funny word to use for something that would seemingly be so nice.
Tranquil.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. It was. And I remember going to see the lady to say I'm leaving, and I'm not really very good at telling fibs. Like
Hmm.
I was always like, what can I say? Because if I say I'm just finding it really hard, they might not want me to go. And obviously, you give your phone in as well.
Yeah.
And I realised I was completely addicted to checking my phone as well. That
Hmm.
was really uncomfortable. And then anyway, I can't remember what I said. I can't remember the excuse I used, but she just looked at me and was like, okay. Off you go. So we went, but the food was great.
The food's amazing, isn't it?
The food
Yeah.
was beautiful.
Highlight of the retreat for sure.
The whole thing is good. But so that method, yeah, was following the breath on the top of the lip.
Hmm.
So when you teach meditation, and obviously you have got a lot to teach, so it's going to be hard for you to, to fit it into this little chat. But do
Mm.
you focus on a single point, or is your teaching different? Are you focusing on a mantra or a flame or one part of something?
Hmm. Yeah, it's all of those things actually, all of those things. So tends to be one point is one way of doing it, and I would say that's the primary approach that I tend to take. But the thing is, everyone's totally different. Everyone's mind works in a different way. For some people, following the breath comes really naturally, and to just lose themselves in following the breath is really easy. So that's a perfect technique for them. Some people will take a mantra and they'll be like, oh my God, I can just lose myself in this mantra. Other people, the mantra feels really just like that, like another mental activity, and they can't really sink deeper. So I do teach lots of different ways and have different tools to help people with different beliefs, different mindsets, different, the way that everyone is unique, to find something that suits them. And that's really key with meditation, is that each person should really spend a little bit of time refining and figuring out, okay, how can I position myself so that I'm actually comfortable? There's got to be some discipline to the practice, otherwise it becomes just a bit overly simplified. It's good to have discipline with it. So you might start off with quite a disciplined approach, but then it's good to refine it. And you might start off sitting cross-legged and find out that it just doesn't work for you. You've got pain in your lower back, or your legs go numb after 5 minutes. So then you might say, okay, well, I'm going to try a chair. And then you find out a position that suits you. And then you might start working with the breath. And that might be really uncomfortable for you. Now, you don't need to just give up immediately. I would say work at it for a month, 2 months, 3 months, see if it's just a barrier, because you will have endless barriers along the journey of practicing meditation, and you have to work your way around them all. But to start with, you've got to sort of figure out what suits you. So spending some time either working with the breath it's very simple. It's there always for everyone, obviously, and anyone can use it anytime. So I tend to recommend starting with the breath as a
Mm.
starting point, because it's good to learn how to breathe properly. It's good to be aware of it. But from that point, you might then choose to go to a different technique. And really, it's a case of finding what works with you. So I liken it sometimes to exercise. Some people never ever will match up with running. They just, I hate
Mm.
running, I can't run. Okay, then they get on a bike and they love it. It's the
Mm.
thing that suits them, or they get in a pool and they find that they're amazing at swimming, or they're great at tennis, or whatever. In a sort of similar way, with meditation, you have to find the tool that is appropriate for you. And once you use that tool, once you find that tool, you can stick with it and it will take you further. If you
Yeah.
find you're good at cycling, that tool, which is the bike, will take you to fitness levels that are unlimited, really.
Mm.
It's a
I
case of
love
finding
that.
it.
So yeah, I really like that approach and how you're teaching, because then it's a bit more flexible for people. I think sometimes people feel intimidated because if you've just got one rigid way of doing
Mm.
something, it's going to put you off. But if there's different methods that you can try and you can find things that work for you, because what you're really focusing on is the outcome of meditate, the point of meditation, rather than the way that you're doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
I would say it's a blend of the two. It's like the way that I do it, the way that you do it is also important, but finding a way that also works for you and doing that route in the best way possible is
Yeah,
important.
I know that I have some sort of like ADHD traits, and that's quite a big thing at the moment. My personal, uh, thoughts on that are like we were saying at the beginning, when we're in this world where there's just so much information and there's so
Mm,
much distraction and there's so much coming at us all the time, that more and more people are experiencing these kind of traits where we're struggling with our attention.
mhm,
And how would you, because I know like quite a few people in my community as well would associate with having those kind of traits of really struggling with keeping focus and attention, feeling overwhelmed, having like rumination and racing thoughts, and um, like sort of really struggling to keep on an even stream of attention and energy.
mhm,
How would you, is there any changes or advice that you would give in your teachings, like if people are struggling with that type of thing?
mhm. I would advise on like a person to person basis, really.
Yeah.
So it would depend on the feedback that I would get from each person as to how they're responding to a particular approach. And from then on, I would guide them really. It's so much to it. It depends on the person, the mentality, lots to it. But
Mm.
I would take a very pressure-free approach. And I think that the big thing with meditation is you want it to be as best as you can. It's not always going to be like this every day, but overall, you want it to be something you enjoy.
Yeah.
So how can you make it something that you enjoy, something that actually inspires you? So
Mm.
for me, I take a lot of inspiration from saints and people who reached like silly heights with their sort of spiritual practice, and I have pictures of them in my little area where I meditate, and I get a lot of inspiration from that. I enjoy the whole process, and if you can find a way of doing that for you, that's key. Pressure free approach is also important. So, often you'll start meditating, you'll hear that a friend is doing it for 10, 20 minutes, and you set yourself that task, and that might be too much for you at the moment. So
Mm.
remove any timings at all if that's a problem for you personally. Other people love having a timer and working with that, but for some people that adds pressure, and they're like, oh, is it 15 minutes yet? Or
Yeah.
you got one
Yeah.
eye open the whole time looking at the
Uh,
clock. So that
so
you want
just to
to,
sit, just to see, just to, yeah,
yeah, just take
be
all the
with it.
all the pressure away from yourself. Don't expect anything. Expect absolutely nothing. Understand that your mind is going to be busy. Everyone who's ever meditated on earth has had and will continue to have to some extent or another activity in their mind. So understand
Mm.
that that's just normal. Have a pressure-free approach. Don't put any pressure on yourself about time. Choose a technique, something simple. Perhaps start with the breath because it's there for everyone and it doesn't take much to learn. And commit yourself. Say, I'm going to work on this, provided I don't have any really, really uncomfortable things happen early on. Commit myself for 3 months to working on just the breath. Simplicity is good in that sense with meditation because everything else in our life is complicated. We
Yeah.
add things to everything. So meditation is really
A
becoming
pause.
expert at simplicity. Yeah.
Mm.
So do something really simple. But if you find that having some meditative music on in the background helps you, put some on. If you find it becomes a distraction, turn it off. This is how over like the next couple of months you can then work on figuring out what suits you perfectly. Do I need
Mm.
music? Do I not? Should I do it in the morning? Should I do it in the evening? Should I
Yeah.
follow the breath? Should I take a more open approach as you were teaching with your students, which is a great approach. So I would start with something, commit yourself to that for a couple of months, and as you step along that path, adjust if needed.
Yeah. That's really good advice. Really good because, yeah, like you say, it's going to be different for every single person, and different
It
people
will. It will.
are gonna, yeah. So yeah, brilliant. Okay, so would you say? I've got so many questions to ask you. Um, would you say that meditation is more of a spiritual practice or a health practice, or both?
It was designed originally as a spiritual practice. So rishis and saints that went off into the forest to understand reality more and understand who they were, who am I? They used or figured out that meditation was a tool to start to understand and explore that more.
Mm.
So it was and is primarily a spiritual tool, but naturally there are a whole list of physical benefits, mental benefits that come with the process. So for
Yeah.
some people, it's perfectly fine if you're not that interested in the spiritual side and you think, I just like doing this because it makes me feel calm, peaceful, helps my sleep, makes me relax, helps me to relax. They're all perfectly valid reasons to use it and to practice it. And actually, some people start off with that, and as they practice more and more, they become a little bit more interested in spiritual things as
Yeah.
well. So it really
Yeah.
is. You don't have to be just spiritually interested to do it, but I
Mm.
would say that was the primary purpose of it initially.
Because you have people like Joe Dispenza, people like that teach meditation as a form of healing the body as well, and
Hmm.
focusing on sort of like
Hmm.
moving energy around. So there's like, yeah. But I suppose you naturally have health benefits for it because you're reducing stress in your body.
Yeah, you without question become healthier in many ways because
Mm.
of because of that. And
Mm.
you process in loads that you're not even aware of. You're accessing parts of your subconscious mind that you've left dormant for a long time, and
Yeah.
a lot of that processes as you go along.
Mm.
So much of it is so much of it we're not perceiving,
Yeah.
and that's why a lot of people don't think anything's happening to begin with. They just think they're
Yeah.
sitting with a busy mind, but actually, it's a bit like tectonic plates under the earth. It's like things are moving, and occasionally an eruption happens, and you're like, oh, that experience or that thing
Yeah.
happened. But there's other than that, you're not necessarily aware of it, but you will be in time. You look back in a year and be like, oh my God, I remember I
Mm.
used to get road rage all the time. Now it just doesn't affect me, or I used to be really attached to that person or that thing. It just doesn't
Yeah.
bother me anymore. So the changes happen.
It's incredible, like the amount of power that we have ourselves that we just don't
Mm,
realize. And this is what I'm really big on as well. It's like it's nice to have these tools to teach people as well, but ultimately you're doing it yourself. Like we're doing this work ourselves. We're not
mm.
going to someone else and saying, right, I need you to we're not outsourcing it and being like, I need you to fix it. Like we have the ability
Yeah,
and it's really simple. We overcomplicate. Well, it's not really simple, it's quite hard, but well, the technique, the actual practice is quite simple, but
it
everything's
is.
very overcomplicated. And like when it comes to
Mm,
the mind, it's so complicated, but so much of our reality and our experience, all of it is determined by what's going on in our mind. So it makes absolute sense that you would need to just have a little time where you connect with that.
mm. And like we've been so conditioned all our life. Second you're born, all of these restrictions have been placed on you. And this is who you
Yeah.
are. This is what you're good at. This is what you're not good at. You can do this. You can't do that. You're good at that. You're not good at this. And we're so conditioned that then by the time someone comes to, they get to the age of 30 or 40, they've got these such strong held beliefs about themselves. And
Find it so hard
untangling
to
those
change.
knots, undoing those knots takes time,
Yeah.
which
And
is a
yeah, I
shame.
suppose that's sort of like kind of well, that is what we do when we're practicing like hypnotherapy as well. It's like
Mm,
questioning. It's really the process of under, understand identifying these beliefs and these programs that are running in our mind, and like then dismantling them. Is that true? Is
hmm.
it really true? But I suppose you get to do that yourself in meditation as well, don't you?
You become aware for sure.
Mm.
Start to become very aware.
So I'd love to know what your take is on. So we hear a lot of talk, especially in the like the spiritual kind of community, um, about like a great awakening or like our consciousness raising, or
Hmm.
ascension. Um, what's your take on that? Do you believe that that's something that's happening right now? Do you think our consciousness is raising and people are um, changing in that way as a whole
Mm.
race, as humans? Do you think there's something going on?
I definitely do. Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
Having now had my school open for a year and a half, that the amount of people I've seen having just random awakenings, random Kundalini experiences, waking up in the middle of the night and just having basically expanded in terms of their awareness or consciousness. I'm seeing like hundreds, actually hundreds of people who have messaged me or emailed me or whatever who are having these types of experiences all around the world. So it's 100% happening, and I don't think I think it's increased over the last couple of years because I've been teaching for like 5 or 6 years, but only more so in the last year and a half, and it's definitely picked up the pace in terms of people waking up, people expanding. So yeah, without question,
Yeah.
the world is definitely going through a big shift, and how that will unfold, who knows? I try not to focus too heavily on what might happen tomorrow and just focus on what I can do today. But there's without question a big shift taking place, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, yeah, the last couple of years have been like massive in terms of that, and the amount of people that are just having different conversations that they wouldn't do, and they're more like just been able to change their perspective on things. It feels like the
It's
world
good, isn't it?
has, yeah, I feel like the world has changed in so many ways, not good, not bad, it's just has changed. But our ability and our knowing that we are so much more than we've been
Mm.
led to believe that we are, that there's so much more, there's something bigger at play, and that that drive to connect to it and seek the knowledge has gone massively, isn't it?
Definitely. Like you're so spot on. Like comes back to that programming again, I think, from birth, not through any fault of theirs, but people's parents may not have been had any interest in this sort of thing and may not have understood any of this, which is natural. But then they have kids and teach the kids you're just this person, this is all you can reach, and the program is just in programming is instilled very deeply. So when then that people start coming across books and videos that actually suggest, oh no, you do realize you probably not just this person that you think you are, your potential is what you make it to be, all of these things, I can imagine it's very hard to actually take.
Mm.
And it probably takes people a little while to actually feel like that is genuine for them, something that
Yeah,
they can work towards more and things like that. So I can understand why it's a struggle. But
yeah,
yeah, I think you're right. More and more people now are having this understanding or thinking differently, thinking that
yeah,
there is more. And now I think as well with YouTube and stuff, so many videos of people sharing their experiences, which just gives you more certainty that, okay, it's
yeah,
not just some fantasy, some silly idea that people have got that, there's something greater or there's more.
yeah,
I'm hearing people that I relate to tell me they've had experiences. So,
yeah.
you know,
It is incredible, and I'm, yeah, just in awe of sort of what's going on. I had my own sort of journey with the spiritual awakening, and it's not the nicest thing.
mm,
It's sometimes it's I think sometimes it's easier just to carry on, like your 9 to 5
yeah,
television, and have a wine on the weekend and not think about anything else. But sort of when you start to, yeah, when you do start to shift and change, and your awareness of everything changes, and you realize it's not actually how you thought it was, it can
yeah,
be quite upsetting, because it's like all the foundations of what we believe is not quite true. So,
mm,
and I obviously work with like tools like the tarot, and I've done some sort of psychic development stuff as well. Do you think that meditation can help expand people's psychic abilities? What's your take on that? And
mm-hmm.
even
It definitely,
telepathy?
yeah, definitely. I think it's not a given. It's not something that's going to happen just to everyone. But I think that people, everything, in my take on all of this, everything is energy and
Yeah,
vibration. and that skill of reaching, let's say, that ability to have psychic abilities or other abilities like that is a vibration that you can reach.
Mm.
And so meditation is a tool to increase your vibration. So if that's something that you wanted, I would imagine it's within your reach. If
Yeah.
that's something that you want and that's something that you work towards.
Yeah. It really just goes back to getting in touch with your intuition and the senses that perhaps we have dulled down over generations, and like the senses that we have all got already, that
Yeah.
perception of energy that I suppose can be a lot clearer and
Hmm.
easier to recognize when you're creating space through meditation.
Yeah. Yeah. If you've always been told that that's not something that you can ever achieve and that
No.
that's just a load of rubbish and all you're good for is just what you can see around you and all you can reach is what the people around you have reached, then your beliefs determine what the outcome of your life is. So
Yeah.
eh,
Yeah. So how do you keep what you do and your sort of experiences in meditation like grounded in sort of daily life?
that's been a real challenge over the years, actually. But it's one of those things that I think, like all of this work, you just have to take it step by step
Mhm.
and slowly but surely figure things out more and more. My girlfriend's very grounded. She has no interest in spiritual things at all. So I might be in my meditation room having some amazing thing going on, and then I walk out and she's asking me what do you want for dinner or what's for dinner or what should we do tonight, and I'm back to earth then.
Yeah.
So I would suggest, I think what that alludes to is like keeping in touch with, very much so, people who are not interested in spiritual
Mm.
things, because it's actually very grounding to be around people that have no interest in that, and that's a good thing. So I wouldn't necessarily, like, if you're getting into meditation or other tools and practices, I wouldn't then detach yourself completely from people that aren't interested in those things. You
Mm.
will probably find naturally that people drop away from you.
Yeah.
Coming back to
Yeah.
the vibration thing, you're growing and evolving, and you find that other people won't want to come up with you,
Mm.
so you will definitely lose people. So
Yeah.
that's
And
that's one way.
that's I suppose that's part of like what we would term ascension as well. Is it I 100% feel that that's right as well, that it's all just by everything's energy. Even when I'm working with tarot, I see it as tapping into like an energy field of
Mm,
information that's working. We're just translating some of the energy that's around by whatever tool. It's a tool to
yeah,
translate some energy. So it's fascinating, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
We
It
could
is.
literally talk for hours and hours on this. It's amazing. Thank you.
I could as well. It's
um,
fun.
yeah, we'll have to do like a part two. um, okay, so thank you so much. I would
You're
like
welcome.
if you could just to leave our members or listeners, whoever listens to this, just with something like practical that they could implement if they're brand new to
Mhm.
meditation, or they're kind of intimidated or don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
What's something practical we could leave them with?
Okay, a little practice that they could do, a little practice to develop awareness. I'll use that circle analogy that I was touched on earlier on. Is I would find them. I'd encourage them to find somewhere that's quiet. I know this sounds really basic, but this makes a big difference. Actually, having somewhere that's different to where you sleep or where you may work, even if it's just like a little corner somewhere in your spare room or in your living room or whatever. Light a little candle. If you like incense sticks, get an incense stick on. Make a space that is enjoyable for you, that you feel inspired by. If there's pictures of people that inspire you, put them there. If there's anything else that might create some atmosphere of peace or inspiration, create a little space. Take yourself there, and either sit on a chair. You don't need to be cross-legged. You can if that's something you're comfortable with, and just start to be very conscious of breathing from the belly. All of our life, we breathe from the chest short, shallow breaths. And for this practice, you want to ideally consciously just take some breaths from the belly. So feel like your belly is expanding, almost like there's a balloon in your belly. And just take 1 or 2 minutes to breathe purely in and out through the nose, but be conscious of breathing from the belly. So settle that breathing, breathe nice and deeply to begin with, and just get that going. And then I would close your eyes if they're not already closed and just become aware of sounds outside. Just purely become aware of sounds, nothing else. And as soon as you hear a sound with your inner voice, just label it with one word. So if you hear a car go by, or if you hear someone talking, or a washing machine, or whatever, just label it car, washing, people, whatever, and spend perhaps 2 minutes doing that. And then you bring the circle closer to home. So letting go then of sounds and just come into your body and tuning in and being aware of your body, really feeling into your body, and doing a similar thing but purely with sensations or feelings in the body. So if you notice an ache on or an itch somewhere or a little ache or pain somewhere, inwardly just label it just with one word: ache, pain, itch, whatever. And you're not trying to direct your mind. You're not trying to look for things. You're just keeping this open awareness. And wherever the mind, whatever comes into that field, you then label. And if you've become aware of something that annoys you or you like or you dislike, so for example, a pain that you would have a tendency of saying, oh, I don't like that, it's painful. Try to keep a neutral approach to everything.
Mm.
Nothing is any more good or bad. It's not a like or a dislike. It's purely an experience you're having. So if it's a pain, if it's a nice thing, still approach it in the same way. Just label it with one word. And then after about 2 minutes of doing that, come in purely to your mental activity. So we've made the circle smaller and you've come back purely to your mental activity. And here you're just going to observe what happens in your mind, what thoughts are going on. If you have any particular image in your mind's eye, there might be different things happening. Try not to be overwhelmed, and definitely don't expect it to be quiet because it won't be. And just notice what's happening. If there's loads of things going on, you might just have to label it activity. If there's different things and you're able to just label them again with one word, do that. And what you'll find is that you then are creating a bit of a separation between what's going on in your mind and the part of you that's able to just be aware of that activity, if that makes sense. Because so
Mm.
often we're identified with what's going on in our head. My thoughts, I thought I was thinking this, I had this idea, I had this opinion, I was thinking this about them. And a lot of that activity is actually just coming in and out of our mind. It's not consciously ours. It's part of the program or programming or whatever. So this practice then from that point is enabling you to sit back into your awareness and just label and notice what's going on. From that point, so that would then be another 2 minutes. So by this point, you're perhaps up to 8 minutes roughly. You don't need to be like precise, but roughly. And then if that's enough for you, you can call it a day and just in your own time wind out. If you wanted to sit a little longer, then you could, from that point of being in that pure awareness, just come to following the breath and just simply sit and just observe the breath as it comes in at the nose, feeling the sensations that the air creates as it flows in and out through the nose, and just sit with that for as long as you're comfortable doing, and then come out of the practice. And I would start off with something like that. That's
Mm.
quite nice because it's dynamic in the sense that there's a few stages to it. It's a bit of movement, but it's not too like intense to start with.
Thank you. That's really good advice, and that's really good for our little 10-minute challenge that we've got going on as well. So that's going to
Yeah,
help.
give it a go. See how you get
Um,
on.
that's going to help. So no, I really appreciate that, and I'm going to implement some of that too. So yeah, it's been really wonderful chatting to you, and
Yeah,
so much
likewise.
we can uncover as well. And I'm sure that my members and people that are listening to this will get something from it. Where can they find you if they want to follow your practices and get to know
Best
what you're
place
doing?
is YouTube. yeah, if they just type at Ben Smith Reel into YouTube, um, I teach loads on there, so there's loads of different videos that they can go through. It's quite primarily spiritually orientated. So if that's their interest, then I'm sure they'll enjoy
Yeah,
perhaps some of those videos. So that would be the best place to find out more.
wonderful. I'll pop the link up anyway, when I post this. So wonderful. Thank you
Cool.
so much, Ben. Thank you for sharing everything with us, and thanks
Oh,
for the
you're
chat.
welcome. Thanks for having me on.
And
It's great
I
chatting
look
with you.
thanks. I look forward to getting back into meditation. Maybe not for 10 days.
Yeah. 10 minutes, not 10
Okay.
days.
All right. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.